Hi, this is Randy Randall of No Age and host of the podcast Hyphenate with Randy Randall. I want to welcome our newest sponsor of the show, DistroKid. DistroKid helps musicians get their music on all the major streaming platforms, and artists keep 100% of their royalties. Hyphenate listeners get 30% off at distrokid.com/VIP/hyphenate. Again, that's distrokid.com/VIP/HYPHENATE. Go get your music streaming everywhere now.
She was like, "Hey, I follow you on Instagram and I think you would be really good at podcasting." And I was like, "Why? Because I love to hear myself talk." Well, then you're fucking right, bitch. I would be good at podcasting.
What's happening? Thank you so much for tuning in to Hyphenate with me, Randy Randall, on this, the Thursday, the 4th day of April. It is my honor to welcome today on the show one Miss LG from the incredible band Thelma and the Sleaze. I'm so stoked that LG took the time to jump on the mics before going out on this incredible tour she's just finishing up now with her incredible band. But she has many, many more tour dates coming up. So make sure if you live in Charlotte, Asheville, Columbia, Missouri, Denver, Colorado, Salt Lake City, Utah, Spokane, Washington. Ooh, Spokane. I have family up there. June 11th, Spokane, Washington. All right, Molly and Joe, I think you guys got to go see one of the best live bands you've ever seen, Thelma and the Sleaze, coming to Spokane, Washington on June 11th. Then going to Seattle on June 14th. Again, Seattle, June 15th, 2 days in Seattle. Santa Cruz at Moe's Alley, June 11th. Albany, California, June 19th. Permanent Records Roadhouse, I'll be there, June 21st. And the Cicada in Fort Worth, Texas on June 27th. And the Mercury Lounge in Tulsa, Oklahoma on June 28th. Go do yourself a favor. If you have not seen Thelma and the Sleaze, you definitely need to catch them live. But if you've seen them, you know you already have tickets. There's no way you're going to miss it. One of the best live bands I've ever seen. I first saw them at South by Southwest, I don't know, maybe 8 years ago, and was completely blown away. It was some of the best music I've heard. It was just fun. The guitars were blazing. The lyrics were fun. Just real, kind of southern rock with a RAWK kind of vibe. Just real. It was real down and dirty and a lot of fun. And LG is a hell of a front woman and puts on such a great show. So I was very honored and very humbled that she agreed to jump on. And she also has an incredible podcast, Queen of Shit Mountain, that she is doing so many rad, cool, resourceful things. I think she has an approach to her podcasting. She talks about it. You'll hear her talk about it in the interview, where it's more like a resource guide and information. It's important. And I think the people she talks to and the way she uses her podcast channel is to really give out pertinent and good information. It's not just an entertainment thing or just a personal thing, or it's not just I think you get that. It's obviously very entertaining and very personal, but her level of responsibility and info and resource that she does on the pod, the way she presents the pod is really cool. So that's Queen of Shit Mountain. Go listen, subscribe, follow, and then make sure you also go to Thelma and the Sleaze on Bandcamp. It's thelmaandthesleaze.bandcamp.com. New record is called Holy Water. It fucking rips. It's great. You can buy the album directly from the band, support them directly while they're on the road. They had a great Kickstarter where the LG and the band got a new van for the tour. It was super successful, but you always got to, keep supporting the DIY artists, and LG is the real deal. So go out there, support. If you've got a couple bucks in your pocket, go to their Bandcamp and buy records, t-shirts, full discography, everything you can get your hands on. You won't regret it. So now, here's my conversation with LG. LG, thank you so much for jumping on the mics with me this morning. I really appreciate you making the time. Thank you.
Of course.
What are you working on right now? Where do I find you today?
Oh, today? Well, today I am kind of at the end of uh my hibernation. So I have about 2 weeks left and then I go out for 6 weeks. So for the last kind of month and a half I've just been writing or not writing, paint. I haven't done anything with music actually. I've been trying to avoid it at all costs. Um and I've been painting a lot and hanging out with my dogs.
Incredible. I just saw you had a painting sale.
Yeah, it was my first art
How,
show.
that's amazing.
Yeah, well,
How did it go?
I've been doing watercolors. Like I like to paint vintage baseball cards and wrestlers, and I've been doing that for a couple years and
Mm.
selling those kind of sporadically when the mood strikes me, but I wanted to really focus on painting cuz I've never done that before. And so I just started doing that and it's been great. And yeah, I made $500, so
Sounds like a success to me.
yeah. I mean, that's not factoring in,
Gallery commissions, taxes, agents, you know. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about just kind of we'll just kind of do the start from the beginning of a biography and sort of where you grew up and how music came into your life, and then we'll kind of work towards podcasting and touring and all the other fun stuff and that you do. But where did it all start?
well, I was born in Kankakee, Illinois, which was rated one of the worst cities in America.
Oh God.
And David Letterman bought us a gazebo one time. It's also in the Woody Guthrie song, "Good Morning America, how are you?" Um,
Oh my God.
leaving
Why did
now.
David Letterman? Why did David Letterman buy a gazebo? I don't understand.
Because he was the one I think who rated it one of the worst cities to live in the world, and so he put it all on his show, and it was a whole big deal, and it really hurt people's feelings.
Oh
So
my God. What a
as
dick.
a
That's such a dick move as a
well,
national,
David Letterman is,
celebrity.
but the great thing for David Letterman is there's so many dicks now, and he just kinda gets to kind of float under the radar as a dick because there's so many bigger dicks.
Well, he's the grandfather kind of. He's the old
Yeah,
man
he's
of the dicks that yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
so but yeah, it's not a suburb of Chicago, but it's very close to Chicago, so we did all our field trips in Chicago and got to go to Chicago a lot, but it's, I went back recently for the first time in, like, 25 years, and, yeah, it was a lot smaller than I remember it being, and, it hadn't changed honestly that much. But yeah, it's a great place. My grandpa lived 3 blocks away from us, and, when I was there recently, I tried to find my grandpa's house without Google to see if I could
Oh wow.
from memory,
Yeah.
and I could. And, yeah, he was a multi-instrumentalist, a Korean War veteran, and a engineer, and, he was kind of my guy that I looked up to growing up. He collected vintage guitars and played bluegrass, all the time, Hank Snow and things like that, and he was a picker, and much to his
Wow.
chagrin, uh, I I definitely he bought me my first guitar. I love to tell this story because he was drunk at the time, and he gave me a Gibson Hummingbird acoustic, a vintage Gibson, because he was drunk,
Wow.
and I
Mm-hmm.
took it home, and I'm, like, banging on this thing, I'm having a great time, I'm like, "Man, this is great, grandpa." I'm, like, 8 years old, and then the next day, I came home from school, and there was a music note guitar, the Art Deco, beautiful little guitar parlor things, and, on the coffee table, and I was like, "Hi, this is really nice, grandpa," and he had sobered up and realized what he had done and brought me that instead, which honestly was a much more appropriate guitar for an 8-year-old girl, and, I actually
Probably
rebought one recently.
you could get your hands wrapped around it. It's just a
Yeah.
little smaller. Yeah, I
Yeah,
see.
it's
Yeah.
so important that your first guitar is something comfortable and something you can clunk around, and, I recently rebought one to have, and, yeah, it was, like, really like, "Oh, wow, this is a great first guitar for a little girl." So but, yeah, I got into
Oh.
rock and roll, and I have a really short attention span, so I never was a great flat picker, but he was still proud of me that I stuck with it and played guitar, even though he didn't necessarily think, I don't think he liked the kind of guitar I played.
Would you guys ever jam together? Would you
Oh,
pick out
yeah.
the chords while he did the leads and he would do the
Yeah.
bass?
When I
Oh,
was in high
okay.
school, my sister, plucked on the mandolin and I play guitar. So he would take us to these bluegrass jams at these old folks high rises
Wow.
around town. Like on a Sunday, they'd all get together and he had arthritis in his thumbs kind of into his 60s, so he switched to dobro. So he would sit there and pluck on his dobro, and there were probably 5 or 6 old people who would show up, and they would all. And it was really cool actually, because recently I was in Carbondale, no, Champaign, Illinois. Maybe it was no, it was Champaign, Illinois, and we went to this deserted mall they had turned into an organic grocery store. And outside, there were all these old people having a bluegrass jam. And out, it really, I don't think actually it was a bluegrass jam. I think they were doing like some other form of folksy music, but it reminded me a lot of those. And yeah, I have a very strong rhythm hand. I was mostly a rhythm guitar player forever until all the lead guitar players I hired were bitches. And I was like, honestly, I'm just gonna fucking figure out how to play solos because y'all fucking suck.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, you are a shredder
Thank you.
on all these records. I mean, and the tone as well.
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah, I mean, you're obviously proficient, but I mean, that's the one thing I was always going through, kind of prepping for stuff and just listening, like, oh my god, such great tone.
Well, I've
This
always gone to studios and they've always had rooms full of amps, but I've always brought my PV Classic because to
that's the
me,
sound. That's the one.
there's nothing. Yeah, there's nothing better than a PV Classic and a DS1. And I use the PV Classic combo, but I run it through 4 Fender 12s, so like a head, and I've done it
Hmm.
that way for 15 years. So yeah, it's
Wow.
always been my sound. I've got literal drawers and shelves full of guitar pedals. I don't take the DS1 away. It's always there. It was my
And
first distortion
is it an
pedal.
always on or is that the boost? How do you use it?
Oh, it's always on. Yeah.
It's
It's
the
always
always
on.
on.
I
Okay,
don't
yeah.
overdrive the amp at all. Everything on the PV is always best even, you know?
Just flat. Yeah.
Yeah, about a 3 or 4 on everything. And then yeah, then you just, and I don't super overdrive. I'd say I'm at about 3 o'clock on my DS1, and for the for the distortion, and then um like I never go over halfway on the level. So it's really, tone has so much to do with your hands. I mean, too, it's, you can buy all the most expensive amps and guitars and shit, but if you don't know how to fucking beat that, you never it's
Yeah.
never gonna sound,
Yeah.
I mean, you think about players like, oh, well, your name, Randy Rhoads or Elizabeth Cotton,
Oh,
or
yeah.
and
Oh
people
my god.
can, people can sit there and rehearse and learn all of that shit, but like, that woman was in her 80s before she got famous, and all of her recordings, she's, I'm sure, got arthritis and she's old, and
Oh yeah. It
but
was, and she was doing left hand on a right hand strung, right? I
yeah,
think that's what I
so
remember.
I
Yeah.
mean,
That's.
it's just, there's magic in hands. There's just magic in your
Hmm.
hands, you know?
I it took me a long time to reach that point, or at least, I would say probably 20 years of playing guitar to get to understand, like, oh, it's not all this other stuff. It's these two things. It's all it's the fingers and the hands, and you
Well,
could play
yeah.
anything, pick up any guitar, plug it into any amp, and I'll get it to sound like me. But I did not have that understanding, or the, I think, just it's hours put into a thing, playing the thing and worrying about it. I drove myself crazy trying to chase amps and guitars and
Well,
tones
yeah,
and
I think if
think it
you
was everywhere else except me. Yeah.
I think if you sit there and sometimes I get down on myself because I smoked a lot of weed and got laid and partied in high school, and I probably should have been more studious, but like, there isn't ever been a day I haven't played guitar. I just really can't. I have no attention span or retention skills. So for
Mm.
me, I've always just learned as I went and learned what I needed. And I think that has a big, impact on how I play and how I write, because you know, I literally am playing what I hear and what I feel, and nothing that I think people are going to like or I know is cool. It's just it's all emotive. It's all, and, again, sometimes it's like, oh, great, and I have kind of muscled up my playing in the last couple of years, just, studying, especially over COVID, but I still really just like to get on the guitar and listen, and fill it out.
Yeah, let your heart kind of guide you, or your gut,
Yeah.
like what's sounding good into the next. Yeah, the new record sounds amazing, by the way. Holy Water, it's really really gorgeous, and it's a big production step up, and there's kind of
Yeah,
fullness of
people
sound.
people do say that
It's
it's more produced. It's actually really the least produced of all our
really, but
albums. Yeah.
maybe it's a maturation just in you and the
It's
players or
just
something. Everything it just feels it
that's
feels
all
open
it
and kind of
is the players.
yeah.
Most of that record was tracked live. Um
Wow.
so there's not a
It's
lot of overdubs. There's really the only overdubs are my vocals and some BGVs, but I mean, no, we mostly tracked live in like 5 or 6 takes.
wow.
So it's
Well, it
it's
sounds
the
incredible though.
least
There's
produced.
layer. I mean, it feels like there's the layers of harmonies. Maybe that's what I'm hearing in the voice, or just in the
Yeah, the
kind of
harmonies
the keys and yeah.
are really showstoppers on this record.
Mm-hmm.
Probably our
Maybe that
most
may yeah.
produced record is Somebody's Doing Something, and my favorite produced record is Fuck, Marry, Kill. But
Yeah,
Holy
that's
Water
great.
is a different sound. It doesn't sound anything like our other records, and I think that's kind of hurt it. So, but I think there's some.
The newest
Oh
record.
yeah,
You think it's
nobody likes it.
wow? You're kidding.
No, nobody
It's
likes it.
gorgeous. It's
It's
beautiful.
yeah,
It
it's.
just came out though. How do you know no one likes it? What is that?
I
Is that
mean,
just the
here's the
feeling you're
thing.
getting
Here's the
live? Like when you
thing.
play it live, or yeah,
No, they love the songs live. That's what I'm actually.
yeah.
That's what I'm doing is I'm releasing a uh, a Holy Water live album. Um,
There we go.
but yeah, it's that's the next thing that's gonna come out. But maybe tomorrow if I feel like it. I don't know. But yeah, no,
That's
nobody
amazing.
really likes Holy Water. it's,
Hmm.
it's it's kind of, honestly, it reminds me a lot of Somebody's Doing Something, because that record, we went out to Rancho de la Luna. We recorded with Dave Ketching. Bernie Howard sings on it. Tristan, like, it's a star-studded, overproduced fucking Zeppelin of a fucking record. And when it came out,
So
crickets. We did
the,
a
fart.
month-long tour of Nashville in one city at non-venue spaces, made a movie about it, gave away a car. Like, we did everything you could
Yes.
do, more than anyone would ever do. I made 3 videos, and I shit you not, nobody likes that record. Nobody likes this record, but I think it's yeah, it's just a very the performances are great and the songs are great, and I'm very proud of everyone who played on it.
Yeah,
And I love
yeah,
the
it's a beautiful
artwork.
record. I don't. Yeah, I mean, the artwork on all your albums, all your releases are incredible. All right, how much are you involved? Is it you creating the artwork? Or are you art directing it? What is your involvement?
I'm involved in, yeah, everything is me. So,
That's so
I'm not
you
even
make
gonna
the
be
artwork,
humble
or
about this. I do it.
no?
No, what I do is I hire. So I've had the same artist, probably artist. So I have like 3 or 4 artists that I've used for many, many years, and I know
Okay,
what their strengths are, and I know um, what I like. But the aesthetic of Thelma and the Sleaze across all the albums has been an aesthetic, and
yeah,
I do try to allude to previous releases on everything, but also being, you have to be timeless. You don't want something that 13 years, 14 years down the road is going to look really dated. And so, yeah, there's always been a fluorescent kind of wash to every colorization of every record. There's always been a logo that's very, the logo that my ex-girlfriend made me probably like 9 years ago, because I didn't have a logo. So yeah, there's always, but yeah, what I really do is I go to whoever is working on the art and I just tell them, I usually draw out like a outline of what I'm looking for, or I give them a folder full of pictures and I say, this is what I want for this is what I want for that, you know. And so if it's a video, if it's artwork, if it's anything, if it's even merch, like I'm very hands-on. I don't and I also made the videos myself for this record on my phone. So yeah, I'm very hands-on, but I'm also trying to save money because, you know, I pay everyone that works with me. I pay them, you know, and I don't ask for favors or try to, you know, lowball artists. So if I want something done, I go to the person I know who's I have a working relationship with, so they'll maybe give me a deal, and then also, you know, I spend that money because I know they're gonna do a fucking great job. And Billy Buck, who did the artwork for Holy Water, always does a fucking great job. So
Nailed it. Looks amazing. Yeah, I mean it's a funny thing to me think about. It's DIY, but with a community. With it,
mhm,
like you do everything yourself, but that also means having people there who can help fill in. Extend the extensions of what your ideas are. You need a technician to accomplish it.
mhm.
Yeah, it's incredible. Okay, so Kankakee, Illinois. What happens next? Are you starting bands in high school? Are you jamming with your sister and your grandpa? Where
Yeah,
do you go
my
next from
sister's
there?
feelings got really hurt because when I got to high school, we actually moved to Fort Madison, Iowa, and I was really upset about it. But then I ended up meeting another girl. She was actually a grade under me, through her sister who was obnoxious, and she was like, "I think you'd really like my sister Andrea. She plays bass." And so I was like, "Cool." She's like, "Yeah, whatever," and like walked away. But I ended up hanging out with her sister, and we started a bunch of bands. And my little sister was so mad because we didn't go to the bluegrass jams anymore because I was
Oh,
too busy with my new bands. Me and my friend Andrew, we had probably, you know, five different incarnations of, you know, the band. But we played around town. We had a little venue called Mr. J's where they would let us play, and another one called Vinny's where we could play on Sundays if our moms were there, and you know, things like that. And then we were doing like more, you know, kind of rock poppy stuff, but then we wanted to play at house shows and backyard wrestling events. So then we kind of got like more punk, like, and I started playing drums on like a shitty trash kid, and we changed our name to something really inappropriate and like made really fast songs so we could play at the parties and the keggers. And then yeah, I went to rehab, and by the time I had graduated, well, not graduated, got my GED and got out of rehab, I had written over 100 songs. So, and I could play them all, like if you asked me to. So I got a kind of a weekly Friday night gig at an Italian restaurant in West Des Moines, from busking. I used to busk because not because I needed the money, just because people would just give me money if I sang Janis Joplin because I look like Janis Joplin. So I would like if there was like a farmer's market or like, you know, a Friday art night, you know, I would go down on the street for like 30 minutes and sing Busted Flat in Baton Rouge, you know, and get like
amazing.
$100 in 20 seconds. So then this chick comes out of this restaurant called Simo's, and she's like this kind of surly Minnesota, like big shouldered, kind of tough bitch. And she comes out of this fancy Italian restaurant. She's smoking a, you know, she's the kind of smoker when she smokes, she'd have it like right down on the fingers like this, and then she would like kind of chew the smoke and then blow in it, and you're just like, wow. And she goes, what are you doing out here? And I was like, well, I was just trying to get some money from all these yuppies, you know, playing a couple songs, you know, whatever. And she's like, yeah, I like that. You ever play shows? And I was like, not really. And I was like, I'm pretty busy, but I have Friday nights off. And she was like, well, I got this restaurant, and you come in there and you play for 3 hours on Friday night, and I'll give you $100 and a free meal, and you can get tips. And I was like, I don't, would you, where would I even play this tiny little Italian restaurant? And She's like, I'll give you a stool in the corner. And I was like, well, I'm going to need a microphone and like an amp, I think. I didn't know. You know? And so she literally throws her cigarette down on the floor or ground. She stamps it out. She walks across the street to this pawn shop, literally buys a tiny, like little crate amp and a mic stand and a microphone, and then walks back with it in her hands. And she's like, "You show up on set at 7 on Friday." So I played there
Amazing.
for a year. Every Friday night, I get really dressed up and I played 3 hours of original songs because again, I had 100 songs by the time I graduated high school, and then I thought that my friend Andrea from high school, once I got my shit together and got my own apartment, would move to Des Moines and we could start a band, but she never did. So, well, she did graduate high school, but she did never come to Des Moines. So I made a friend and he was going to Nashville for audio engineering. And I had bought one of those Boss digital recorders, the hard disk ones. And
Hmm.
I had figured out how to maybe record on 1 or 2 tracks, and made myself a little CD. And it was really fascinating to me. So I decided to just go to Nashville for school too. I was like, fuck it,
That's great. Yeah.
I don't really have anything else I'm doing and I don't like it here in Des Moines and want to get out. So Nashville was very small. I mean, a ghost town really at the time. And it made a lot of sense. So I did. I went to school for audio engineering in Nashville and then met a whole different group of ladies who are still my friends today. And we started another band. And at the time, I had only been playing acoustic really, except for that, punk band I was in. And I met these girls at a Slater Kenny show. And this girl was like, "You play electric guitar?" And I was like, "Yeah, like a lot. That's actually my favorite." I was like, "Yeah," I'm like pretty into electric guitar, but the only electric guitar I'd really play was like drop D Pantera riffs. So she was like doing Carrie Brownstein riffs from like Slater Kinney, and I was doing like, you know,
That sounds awesome.
it was my first real band, and we had this chick who was like a Suicide Girl looking like punk rock chick, kind of Brody Dowell vibes, and
Okay.
she was our lead singer, and she had a voice like Phil Anselmo. She was like,
Whoa.
like, like very like thrashy fucking voice. So we would do house shows and basement
This is all
shows
in
and
Nashville.
yeah.
This is Nashville.
And
Wow.
pretty much after that, I was just like, fuck being a audio engineer. Fucking dudes are fucking dorks as fuck. I don't want to be one of those. I just really wanted, I want more than I wanted to be an audio engineer. I wanted to be able to go into the studio and know what I wanted and know what was happening and be able to record myself at home and my friends if they needed me to. I didn't want to. I get laid and I have a life, so I don't want to be an audio engineer.
And was it mostly Pro Tools, or were they teaching tape
Oh,
stuff? Like
this was in
what era was this?
2004. So I did get
Okay.
100 out of 100 on my Pro Tools exam. But they taught us Fruity Loops. They
Oh, yeah.
Cakewalk, I think, was still a thing back then. We learned a lot on an SSL console that didn't work really.
Oh.
I think
It's a cool console.
that
but it
was
sucks it doesn't
partly
work.
I didn't drop out. I finished, but I never turned in my last project because the school was so overpopulated that if you didn't show up for one session or something happened, my partner was a dick.
Mm.
Like you basically had to wait like another month before you could go back in. And then also like everything was broken all the time because it was underfunded. So you would go in and like, don't use that channel or that, patch doesn't work or something. And it's like, I've got 100 out of 100 on my Pro Tools exam. And I also got 100 attendance. So I was like, fuck a piece of paper that says I went to a 9-month vocational school. Like it's not going to do anything. And at the time I was in the band with this other chick who was going to MTSU, which was a much more reputable program. And yeah, I was like, that's the real learning, that's the real school. So yeah, I didn't get the paper, but which my dad is really mad about still to this day, but
Oh my God.
he knows
But it's not like
I've used that
it's not a
education.
bachelor's, right?
No, it was
It wasn't like a
literally a
bachelor's thing. It's like the thing.
certificate,
Yeah.
a certificate, that I
Yeah.
finished.
You should just say you did.
I,
Nobody checks these things anyway. Like if it
I
doesn't matter,
asked
you don't need
them,
to.
I
But
probably
yeah,
asked them like 10
yeah,
years ago if I could go back, which had probably been like 10 years. I'm 38, so that was a while ago. And
yeah.
I asked if I could go back and just take the last thing so my dad wouldn't be mad at me. And they're like, oh, the technology has moved on so far
Like
from.
no shit.
And I'm like, God, just let me go in there and plug some shit into the SSL and turn it on so my dad doesn't think I'm a loser. But I did. I thought the reasoning in my mind was that I'm in a band. We're playing shows. We're already fucking recording in studios and doing little tours and things. Like I'm using this education, and I was always there. I did not show up, and I got good grades. So like, why do I need this paper? But I do regret it.
Yeah.
I wish I would have just done that last session, so he didn't think I was a
Oh.
loser. But
Oh, it's all such bullshit when it comes down to it. But you should just be able to turn in your body of work, like send them a link to
yeah,
your Spotify page and just be like, "Is this enough for
yeah.
the paper?" Like that's what I mean. How much of the engineering and how hands on, I would imagine quite a bit when you're making your records.
Well, it just depends. It really just depends on we. That's a thing. It's like I I love microphones. I think microphones can really make or break a situation. So it's really the knowledge has really been a hindrance more than a help because I'll sit there and know exactly how they're wasting my fucking time or that
Oh,
their equipment fucking sucks or they have some backward ass way of mixing things or doing things and it takes me out of the moment more than it does because I'm like, well, wait, well, what are we doing right there? And
yeah.
if I am watching someone do something or edit or, automate or do something, I know what they're doing. It's really it's more saved me time and money than anything else. Cause I'm like, wait, why are you still trying to, reverse the polarity on that specific fucking snare hit that no one gives a fuck about for 8
Just
hours?
move on.
Can we please
Move
move on? Or like, why am I singing into a fucking blue microphone, USB microphone? Like, don't you have anything like, you
Yeah.
know? So yeah, it really has pissed more people off than I think it's helped. But for recording at home, I use it a lot.
Speaking of mics, what mics? I mean, what are you using right there? And what mics do you like for your voice? Your voice always sounds great on these records. Nerd out for a minute.
The
What do you like?
Sennheiser, the Stevie Nicks Sennheiser is what I like. The kind of ice cream sandwich shaped
Oh
silver
yeah.
Sennheiser. That is my favorite microphone. I also really love ribbon microphones for my voice. I think I got a real voice. I got a voice for ribbon mics. And
A Royer 121 or
yeah,
something like that.
really
Okay.
the vintage shit, like the really, really old
Oh wow.
shit.
Oh okay.
The shit
These
that
old
like you have to sign
RCA's,
a waiver to
like
use.
Elvis looking
Yes.
things. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We
I'm sure
recorded a
Nashville's full of
lot
those.
of our albums at Battle Tapes in Nashville with Jeremy Grammy Award winning engineer Jeremy Ferguson. And he had this, I don't know if he still has it, but he's had it, this beautiful like RCA kind of Patsy Cline style, like gigantic microphone, like the size of a refrigerator, and you could just, scratch your pubes, and
Wow.
it sounded like a forest in Narnia. You know what I mean? Like it was beautiful. So yeah, that is
Wow.
definitely my favorite microphone to use. It even one time he put it up, it hit me in the head, and I wasn't even mad. I was like, "You silly."
Oh, you silly goose.
Yeah, but
Oh my
yeah,
god.
that microphone's really gorgeous. But yeah, this I mostly at home just use Shure dynamic microphones and cheap little condensers. I find this Tascam thing has been great. It's like I got it for like $40 on Amazon, and it
Oh.
it breaks really well. I don't know. It's a good room mic, but yeah, I'm a deals man. All my gear is just shit I find for I can haggle. Let me haggle. If I'm not, you know,
Yeah.
what I really need now is just new monitors. I want bigger monitors because the guy at the music store said because I'm deaf, but I was like, no, so I can mix louder. Thank you.
Uh, I was mixing something and my buddy was looking over my shoulder. He's like, "What?" Well, he's like, "Well, we can tell where your hearing deficit is." I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Well, you keep notching up the 4K on everything," and I was like, "Oh, God!" I was trying to get the guitars to peek through and get vocals to peek through.
Yeah.
He's like, they're plenty bright already. I'm like, "Are they? Are you sure about that?" And then he was trying to say that I was, from years of
Well,
cymbals and loud guitars right in my ears.
if you like the way that holy water sounds, you could very well have hearing damage.
That's how you know.
Honestly, I hate to break it to you.
It's like maybe that's what they mean by when you're a musician.
I've never in
It just
my
means that you make records for people with hearing loss.
I never in my life have ever been in such a loud mixing session. It was like
Really?
yeah, it was deafening. But yeah, some people
I don't know.
some people really like the way it sounds. I don't
Well, I definitely like loud guitars. I mean, that's been my issue for my whole life.
honey,
And putting yeah,
it's
right.
it's gonna be the end of us all. Loud guitar. That's the only
What's the
thing that heals me. It's the only thing that makes me feel good naturally is I just sex and
yeah.
when I could drive 12 hours and fucking, not sleep and not eat and fucking my back hurts and my shoulder hurts and my eyes twitching and I just switch on that fucking PV and I just hit one big, E major and it's just everything melts away. And I'm just like, oh yeah, I've got
That's
one of the bitchinest towns this side of the Mississippi and everything's
that's
gonna
why
be
you do it.
fine.
I've been told for years to turn down on stage and finally north of 40 for myself. I was like, okay, why am I carrying these heavy amps and driving, doing all this
Well,
stuff? So I've started to turn. Oh, sorry.
no, I was just saying the sad
Uh,
part about it is that these venues don't have the right equipment and these sound people don't know how to run rock bands, real rock bands.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you really actually can't even turn up on stage because if you do, you're just asking for shit tons of trouble. So, yeah, it's
Yeah.
I've never been very loud on stage.
Mm.
I've honestly always kept my volume at below 4. But, because I have that big cab, I don't really need to crank it. I can hear myself pretty much everywhere on stage, um, but yeah, it's not easy being
It,
it's not easy being a rock band anymore.
well, it was that thing like you were saying where like once I started to turn down on stage, it was that thing of like that was the whole reason I was doing this. That was the reason I drove the 12 hours and I slept on floors and I haven't eaten and haven't seen my family or friends, for weeks at a time. Is because the reward was to get on stage and play loud guitar every night.
Yeah,
So if you take that away from me, why am I doing this at all? What the fuck's the point of this?
I ask myself
If
that
I'm
question
gonna
every
go up
day.
there and play through some practice amps for 20 people.
Well, the
That's no
great
fun.
the
I mean,
great thing
I'll play
about a
through a giant
cabinet
stack to nobody.
the
But
great
yeah.
thing about a cabinet is my 412 is that I wouldn't be that loud on stage, but in the middle of the room, I'm fucking blaring,
Mm.
And actually have another guitar player now, and she used to high watt like little 12 one no a 210 I think is what she has, and it would be a real issue because I would be not very loud on stage but blaring in the audience and she'd be really cranked on stage and you couldn't hear her in the house. So I ended up having to switch to a 212 and combo just so that we could have level sound on stage. But I'm going back to the cabinet because I'm sorry, I cannot handle being that loud on stage, and also like I need my power back. I'm taking my
Yeah.
power back. I don't.
That's it.
I want the tone that I get from that 412 and the classic is just it's unfuckwithable. And the 212 deuce is great, and it does sound bitchin', and it's the only setup I've ever used other than that I'd say is passable, but at the end of the day, no, I want my cabinet back. I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done
It's
playing
gotta-
nice. I want my cabinet
Yeah.
back. Fuck you,
You
bitch.
gotta do
Turn down.
what makes it fun for you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the best part of it. So okay, so school and bands have started now. And then where does Thelma and the Sleaze begin? Is this around that time, or is there
Well, Thumb and
what's
the
happening?
Sleaze started in 2010. That band I was in it was originally and was called Tramp Skirts, and I ended up really disliking the lead singer. And I had also started singing a song in the set, um, and the response was pretty good. So I just told them, all the other ladies in the band, I just said, you can either be in a band with her, you can be in a band with me. I'm starting a new band. So I don't want to be in a band with her anymore. I want to take this seriously. And, you know, I want to play with other people that take this seriously, and they all agreed to just go start a new band with me. So we did. Where
Nice.
I got to sing. And that's when Thelma and the Sleaze happened. So.
Amazing. Yeah, I think when I was messaging you, I had seen you in South by Southwest, probably about 2014, 2015. It was a Burger Records
Yeah,
backyard space, and
that
you.
would have been that would have been the time to see us at South by Southwest. Those are magic moments.
It real it really was. As an audience member, you know how it is when you're there. You see a million bands everywhere you walk around, but I think everywhere you walk, you see a band, you hear a band. But as soon as I turned the corner, I could hear something. I turned the corner, and it was like a Pied Piper kind of drawing me in. Like, what is this? What is this? And I turned, and I saw you guys. I was like, fuck yes, this is amazing.
Well, yeah,
This is
that would
definitely
have
the best
been
band.
was that a 3-piece lineup?
I think so. Yep.
Yeah, it was probably me chasing Gigi. So that was doing some era
Okay.
of Thelma
Yep.
and the Sleaze and Heart Like a Fist, and yeah, that
Heart
was
Like a Fist. That was it. Yeah, that's what I was. Yeah, that's what I listened to all the time.
yeah, yeah, that was
So the Maria, that's Maria.
mhm.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah,
It's a
it's
heartbreak. Do you still play that live, or where does that fit?
we
Is that too
played
much
that
to
as
do?
our opening song because that riff, like is like just such a great that's just like such a great way to start a set, because people are just like,
Mm-hmm.
"What?"
Oh, yep.
Like dissidents. um
Just, I
so
need to hear this.
yeah, we did. We played it for like fucking probably 8 years. That was the first time we played. But then, yeah, it's just my lineups change, and then also there's just eras of Thelma and the Sleaze at this point after 13 years and 30 members, and there's just some songs that other bitches don't get, and you can play it and play it 100 times, and they don't bring what they need to bring to the situation. So you kind of modify the set and adjust your writing based on
Mm-hmm.
who's around and who's playing with you at the time. That's why none of our songs or records sound the same. It's because I'm constantly being like, you don't get this. Let's move into it because I love rock and roll. I don't care what kind of rock and roll it is. Just love all rock and roll. So I try to write like that. But yeah, Maria is one of my favorite songs I ever wrote, and I miss playing it a lot. And actually, it's one of the few Thelma and the Sleaze songs that I've had people cover. So that was
I was
cool.
gonna ask. Yeah, it feels like a great song to cover. I've definitely, I've sat there like, no, I'm not gonna do it. I don't want to mess it up. I don't want to.
Yeah, but that was
I
still,
bet. Yeah.
I cringe now listening to that solo because it's like when I first started writing solos and didn't know even what I was doing. But I also know that there are elements of it that I would have never written if I knew what the fuck I was doing. And I honestly, maybe that hurts me commercially, but to me, it just brings so much more character and so much more narrative and so much more kind of. I still believe recordings are supposed to be candid and they're supposed to be capturing a moment in time. And those records, when I listen to them, they still do. And that makes me proud because if they were just produced and overthought and don't play that, it's flat, or don't do that, it's like it wouldn't have aged as well for me, I think.
Yeah. Well, it's so raw. I think that's what I love about, and I think as a guitar player, hearing another guitar player really dig in, and it's not about the amount of notes. It's the quality of the notes that are,
Yeah.
how much feeling comes through it. I would hate for their, yeah, I
Yeah,
think that's a
I
great
mean,
solo for that
those
reason,
all those records back then are so out of time and so backwards and so weird. But at the end of the day, like that's who we were, and that's what we were doing, and that to me is what gives them that special energy that makes your ear perk up, you know. But Maria's actually about being gay when you're a little girl, and you know, having sleepovers at other girls' houses that you have crushes on, and you know, hoping that maybe you'll smoke a little weed, or you know, drink one of their dad's beers and they'll want to make out, or you know, finger or something, you know. And then like trying not to be too excited about it and be like, so what are you doing like Saturday? Do you want to watch The Wall and maybe do a couple bong rips, or no? Yeah, me neither. I hate it. So cool, you know.
Oh, it's amazing. Amazing. Well, we should. I could gush forever, but I want to talk about. I'm going to make sure we talk about Queen of Shit Mountain. How did that start? And yeah, just tell me a little bit about your podcasting journey.
Well, that was the thing. I didn't really intend to ever go on any kind of podcasting journey. Basically, you know, I'll do anything for $10 an hour. So somebody hit me up, and it was this critical something podcast network, and a critical frequency, maybe. Anyways, I don't think they're a thing anymore. And this producer reached out to me, and she was like, "Hey, I follow you on Instagram, and I think you would be really good at podcasting." And I was like, "Why? Because I love to hear myself talk." Well, then you're fucking right, bitch. I would be good at podcasting. So she was like, "I'll give you $1,200 for 6 episodes." So I was like, I just got to sit there and talk into, and she sent me one of those Tascam field recorders, and she just told me like, start from the beginning and just, you know, tell it like it is. Just talk to yourself for 6 hours. I was like, got it. So
Yep.
when your rent's like $300 a month, and you fucking, you know, make $2 a show, $1,200 is pretty good. So I just sat there, and at that point I had come out of a really traumatic, very harsh period for this band, which I'm kind of going through again in a like almost Groundhog Day level fucking scenario, if I'm being
Ugh.
honest. Um, so it's really reminiscent of that era. But yeah, so I did. I just talked about it. And then we put out that season, and it got to like the top 10 on Apple Music podcast several times. And it was really, I mean, I think that my producer, who is also like my best friend now, and that's how we met, is through that. Like she's just like probably the person I trust and collaborated more than anybody in my life. So she's a really incredible person, a really creative, wonderful, getting shit done, badass bitch. And yeah, I just trust her more than I trust anybody else to represent me, and to you know, and she believes in me, which honestly, a lot of people say a lot of shit and blow smoke up your ass, but there's not a lot of people who actually, I feel like, believe in you. And she's one of the people that I feel like actually believes in me and has kept me in this band and doing that podcast, and for many years past when I've wanted to be, because I really wanted to give up many times. And she's kind of the only person who's like, she's got mob energy too. So you just kind of listen to what she says. But yeah, she did that first season. I think she deserves some sort of podcast award for it. I think the first season of Queen Ship Mountain is really, really special. And again, this was before everyone had a podcast. So this was
Mhm.
kind of when they were just, this was kind of when they were just kind of becoming a thing. So, and then during COVID, I had already had the idea, but I wanted to do another season where I talk about or talk with, and this again was before there were artist on artist interviews everywhere. But I wanted to do a season where I got to sit and interview women I also thought were uncompromising, and create a blueprint for how you could do this and do what you want to do and not deal with all the bullshit, because it really is a challenge as a lady musician to have to go through all the shit we have to go through. And how do you do it and realize your visions and be successful on your own terms? Because there are women who on the podcast that have 7 Grammys and, you know, have sold millions of trillions of albums. But then there's also women whose 7 inches sell for like $150 in France. And I think that's just as cool. So some people think
I
I'm
love the.
very successful.
Oh,
So
yeah. I was gonna say I love the Jenny Hoyston
yeah,
interview
I
from
mean,
Erase Rotted.
that blows my mind
Yeah,
that
it was
more
great.
people don't listen to Race Around. I think they'll probably have a renaissance soon because I mean, there's just that fucking both. Yeah, I just love their records, and I became friends
Yeah.
with her through doing South by, and yeah, I just have the utmost respect for her, and just as a person and as an artist. So I looking around, I don't see because my problem too is I've been interviewed a lot, and nobody ever writes down questions, nobody ever does any research, and they usually just ask me the same shit. So I really like I was like, and I love Howard Stern, and I think he's a really great interviewer. So I would really do my research like he does and write out questions and make sure that they got to talk about the things they never get to talk about in interviews, just like I don't, And it was just really important to me. And also that again, people like Jenny Hoyston, Tracy Warmworth, Alicia Trout, people who Lori Barbero, Mary from the Detroit Cobras, people who have done so much for rock and roll, like literally so much rock and roll would not have happened without these people. Um, got a time and a moment to talk about what that was like on their terms, So it became a little trite because I feel like everybody started doing artist on artist interviews. And then I was just like, I don't want what I've done to be perceived as that. I want what I've done to stand as like more of an archive and, less of, me trying to get clout through other people, which is something that I feel like other people do. So, yeah. And it's like, there are certain people that I probably, fuck with less than others, but those people they're uncompromising. They fucking work and they deserve respect. So even if some of them I'm not a huge fan of their music, I still respect them as artists and I still respect what they've accomplished. And I still think it's important that if young girls are trying to figure out how to do this shit their way, they hear their stories. So
That's incredible. Did you ever speak with Sean Yelsit from White Zombie?
I
I was
haven't,
following that along
yeah,
when
I
she was.
haven't,
People were telling her to talk to you.
I haven't, I met her in New
Yeah.
Orleans at a rock show. She came and saw us play. It was really cool and she was very nice. And like, her, Danita Sparks, I might talk to her as well. There's a couple of people that I might do, but right now the next season of Queen of Ship Mountain is going to be on tour with Thelma and the Sleaze in the back of the van season. Another producer reached out to me last year and asked if she could come on the tour for 2 weeks. And I told her, look, the only caveat is that like if you don't put this out, I will be extremely pissed off because you're not going to take up space in my van and take up a cot and all this shit and not put the shit out. Okay, because people always, I'm gonna documentary and I'm a document. Okay, put the fucking shit out. So it's actually coming out. It should be out. Michael Ann's working on it, and apparently it's really great. And I think it's not going to paint me in a good light. But honestly, because people really think this shit is easy, and it just isn't. It's fucking awful. And so yeah, I'm excited, but it's going to be a totally different experience. And I think I will pepper in some more artist interviews, but again, it's Michael Ann's time is money and I don't waste it. If she has a little space and time where she's not doing a lot, I try to get her to do stuff with me. We also try to do Gear Time Live for the better part of 2 years. It took me like 2 years to get that off the ground and then it failed miserably. So
Oh no! Why? Why?
did you watch it?
The YouTube channel? No, I heard it.
Right.
I heard but no, I didn't know that
Oh yeah,
it was more of a show.
it's bad. So
Okay.
no, it's a great show. I really still think it's incredible that we pull it off and the editing and just the ladies that I got to do it with me and just the premise of it's so funny. But people in the gear industry don't like for you to not take it very seriously. So
Mm.
um I just wanted to create a space for women to be able to talk about gear at any expertise level and still feel good about it and have fun with it. And, you know, not be gatekeepery or, whatever. Like, just what do you like to use and why? I mean, I haven't stopped using a Digitech pedal they gave me for free with the guitar starter because they said nobody wanted it. So I'm like, it has a drum machine, every effect, and a fucking tuner. Why would I ever get my fucking pedal boards out? Fuck that. This is gonna be my go-to. And so yeah, it's just, but yeah, it did not take off. It was another Zeppelin. So it's been a rough year.
Oh man.
But I got good feelings about the next season. I think it's gonna do really well. And again, not pay me in a great light, but I think it'll do really well. And yeah, I think I'm gonna put out Holy Water live, and I think that people will be able to kind of hear more of what how the songs actually sound when we play them versus how someone thinks that they should sound.
I see. It's incredible. I mean, I'm so blown away by you're so candid and just like and calling out like, oh, this one didn't turn out. People think this is shit. This is that because it's always so different. I think as a I'm obviously an Instagram gawker and like most people and fans are. It's like, oh, this is incredible. This is all successes. I only see everything coming up as successes. But the one
Fuck
question that I
Mary
think I've been
Kill,
dealing.
Fuck Mary Kill lit the world on fire. Like the day
Yeah.
Fuck Mary Kill came out, the whole world had an orgasm. In my world, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
felt that it was great. People responded to it like it was great. I never doubted its greatness. But Holy Water came out, and people who are my friends, people who are my family, people who I do business with, not a single one of them messaged me and said, "Great job on the record."
Hmm.
like,
Did you think
like,
is this
I mean,
is this post pandemic? Is there something just did things change? I mean, we didn't even really touch on that outside
no,
of
I just don't
in the
think
pod world.
I
It's
don't
like
think they like,
yeah.
I don't think they like it.
Hmm.
I don't think they like the record. I'm not going to, but yeah, I definitely think the world has changed post pandemic. But I mean, I did everything I literally, not a single person wrote about the album. I did like the whole fucking, you know, MailChimp fucking beautiful press kit, paid someone to write up like a whole blurb about it, photos, paid photographers, artwork, got it all going, everything you would need to write about the album. And a single person wrote about the album until a month after it came out. And then one person wrote about it. We did a Medieval Times record release with a joust, free chicken and corn that there was over almost 200 people at in a like space built for 50. And not a single person came out from the press to take photos or write about it. And then again, like maybe 2
Did you
months
set
later,
up your own medieval times, or you played in a medieval
yeah, I
times
set up my
that
I
a
set
proper?
up my
Oh,
own Medieval Times, but let me tell
oh my
you,
god!
it was as close to Medieval Times as you're ever gonna get in a DIY art space in a strip mall. Like it was really fucking incredible. I don't
It's
half-ass
amazing.
anything. I had a Lamborghini at the Fuck Mary
Yeah.
Kill release. Like I don't fucking half-ass anything. So that's what I had strippers and a Lamborghini at the Fuck Mary Kill and a full-on immersive Thelma and the Sleaze history museum. So
Oh my god!
I had to top that, and I did. you know,
Incredible, incredible. Well, how often do you make it out to Southern California?
uh, once a year. Yeah, once a year.
Okay.
Is that where
Okay.
you're
Well,
at?
I want.
Are you in San
Yes.
Diego?
Yeah. No, I'm in Los Angeles.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I would definitely for personal reasons, I would love to see you guys out here more. But I'm
Yeah.
also in dad mode. I have a 10-year-old and a 4-year-old, so I'm not as good at getting
Well,
out as
that
I
must
should
be
be.
the whole
It's my
thing.
fault.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
we definitely go out there once a year, and we usually play a show to about 100
Where
people, and then.
where do you like to play in LA?
Well, we used to always play at the Hi Hat, but I don't know if it's not a place anymore or.
I don't think it's a place.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
we played at a different place last time I did not like at all, and it was just not good. And then we Yeah, and then we were supposed to play in another place in Southern California, but they canceled our show because it was a Live Nation venue and we didn't sell enough pre-sales. So I don't really
It's
have a
such bullshit.
preference. I wanted to try to play
Yeah.
Zebulon because that's where everybody plays, but I don't really care. I mean, I don't honestly care. LA is
Yeah.
like New York. The venues are all kind of hodgepodgey and shitty fucking sound and fucking weird ass fucking staff and then people are like, "Oh, I want to come, but you're all the way over there." And I'm like, "Okay, whatever. Just can I get the fuck out of here so I can go to Roscoe's and fucking Jumbo's?"
Aw.
You know, that's really the only reason I go to LA is Roscoe's and Jumbo's.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. We could talk off air about anything else LA related, but it's really been a pleasure. Thank you so much. What's the shout out? Where do you want people to find you and
Well,
to find more about
we're
you?
gonna put out. I'm gonna put out Holy Water Live because I have been touring for 2 years without my own van, because I can't afford a van, because touring's so expensive and I don't make any money. And so, in order for me to even want to keep doing this, I really need to get my own van. So, it's like really
Mhm.
important. So, I really don't want to do a GoFundMe because I really believe that music should support itself. And I take a lot of pride in never having to do that kind of shit. I mean, I did once, but it was, I want to give you something. So please don't just give me money. So I'm gonna put it out and hopefully get enough money to purchase a $5,000 van so I can tour. And not feel like I'm not doing anything productive because I'll have a van that runs with doors that open and windshield wipers and heat that blows. That's all
And
I want.
brakes and tires. Yeah, that
I
aren't
just
bald.
want no. I just
Yeah.
no. I really want a van with windshield wipers and the doors that open. That's all. I think I deserve that.
Yes, you do.
Thank you.
All right. Well, so where can people help? Just this is through buying
Tomorrow,
records.
I think
Just come
tomorrow
buy
I'm gonna
records.
put the link up to the Bandcamp, and just try to get people to go actually buy the record and do that. So hopefully
Hell
they
yeah.
do. Tomorrow's Bandcamp Friday, so right? Or is today Friday? Yeah. Tomorrow's
Yeah.
Bandcamp Friday, so I think that's a good day to put it out.
This might be up in a couple weeks past then.
That's
But
okay.
still,
It
go
honestly
to
wouldn't make a
Bandcamp and
difference
still get more.
anyways.
Yeah. Go buy Thelma and the Sleaze records. That's what we're saying.
Yeah, please
Go to Bandcamp.
buy something.
Buy,
Yeah.
yeah. Do you have shirts? You have shirts up there?
Sure.
You have other stuff? Yeah.
I
Buy
got
everything. Yeah.
yeah, I got shirts. I got shirts. I
Yep.
got stickers. I got cassettes. I
Buy
got
it
the
all.
fucking whatever you want, baby. Take it. I don't need
Yep.
it.
That's what I was doing this morning. I was fulfilling our Bandcamp stuff. I was putting
What's your
t-shirts in
band?
bags
What
and
band are
records.
you in?
So a band called No Age. We're a
Cool.
duo that's kind of noisy. And
Commit,
yeah.
man. Are you noisy or are you not noisy? Commit.
I feel like it's pretty noisy. You know, like I say
Just
over
say
the
it,
years,
man.
people
Just
definitely
say
told us
you're
to
a
be less
noise
noisy.
band.
All right. I'm a noise band. That's cool. My name is Randy, and I'm a noise musician. I
Thank
can
you,
admit to it.
Randy. Keep
Thank you.
coming back. It works
Thank
if
you.
you work it.
I can do this. Awesome, LG. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
Randy. Thank you for having me.
Thanks.
Bye.
Holy shit. There you have it. Thelma and the Sleaze. I mean, I really do want to start a noise bandaholics anonymous, group therapy session. I think we can all admit that we're more in a noise band than we think we are. Even if we're trying to play music, it's probably just in some dumb noise band. We don't even know it. Maybe there's peace and relief into that. We don't all have to be rockers. We don't all have to rock as hard as LG does. Like I said, Holy Water is the new record. It's fucking amazing. It's out there on Bandcamp. Thelma and the Sleaze, all one word, .bandcamp.com. You can listen to it. You can stream it. You can buy it. I suggest buying it, giving the band some money, helping them get down the road on this awesome tour they have coming up which again starts this next leg. They just finished one leg opening for Laura Jane Grace, and this next one starts on May 14th in Charlotte, North Carolina. It goes all the way through Asheville, Columbia, Denver, Salt Lake City, Spokane, Seattle, Santa Cruz, Albany, California, Los Angeles, California, Fort Worth, Texas, Tulsa, Oklahoma. And I'm sure they will never stop touring because they're a great band, and everybody needs to go see them. So go out there, buy the records, buy the shirts, support the bands, buy them a beer if you see them. You can maybe give them some weed, see what else they need, maybe if they need a place to crash. Or, if you know a good bar in town, let them know. I'm sure it'll be much appreciated. Thank you so much, LG. And also make sure you go find Queen of Shit Mountain on the streaming of the podcast of the streaming of the thing, wherever where you're hearing this. When you're done listening to this, go search Queen of Shit Mountain and do yourself that favor and dive into the world and all the resources. You can start your own band. You could do it. You can record your own records. You can do everything DIY. Use DistroKid. Put in backslash. I don't know what we put in, Runus. We put in something there. You get something. Give yourself a break. But yeah, be your own band. Do your own thing. Be inspired. I'm inspired. Definitely, I felt so more energized. I think you could hear it on the mics. I was a little under the weather when we were recording that. I think I had a sinus infection or something. My nose was all clogged up. I had to cut out all my sniffles while LG was talking. But yeah, she cured me. I'm all better. The energy. I was blessed in the holy water from Thelma and the Sleaze. So thank you again, LG. I appreciate it. I will talk to everybody here on Monday. Have a good weekend.
I was like, honestly, I'm just gonna fucking figure out how to play solos because y'all fucking suck.